Greetings and salutations. My name is Pretty Kubyane. I'm the co-founder of Coronet Blockchain. I'm so excited to be a part of this conference, and another warm welcome to the Global Women Empowerment 2021. I want to thank the team again, the organizing team, for setting up this platform for us as women and other audiences, men, to have this platform for us to grow. My topic today is going to be on how do we make the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement to work for women. I'm going to expand on that, on what the agreement is all about and how can we leverage it to increase the participation of women within a number of supply chains and across economic activities. Just a little bit background of myself, my early experience within the corporate social investment, where I worked with a number of corporations to help them maximum their investments within the communities they operate into. And then I moved in from there to work within the management consulting, where we took a number of products into the market, which segued me into the blockchain technology, specifically with the focus on supply chain. After we worked on an exciting project where we moved a customer who worked within the informal sector, which I'm going to be discussing more about just in a moment. We moved that business from $500 US dollars into making $2 million US dollars a year, employing 40 full-time staff and having a big clientele. And that kind of excitement brought in a number of brands to come forward to ask us for the same success story, which is a very, very, very critical when you see later on when we discuss across the participation of women and evolving of these industries or these businesses that operate within the informal sector. So just back to the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that came live this year on the 1st of January. It is among the best movements and success of the 21st century, where a head of states and our elders came together and agreed that we need to create a single market for Africa, increase our trade within the African countries. That this opportunity is going to see over 30 million Africans being uplifted of extreme poverty. We're going to see about 450 billion US dollars in trade being injected into our trade corridors as an income, and it will cost less than 90% than it costs now to actually move goods across each other's borders, making it very swift and easy to do business within the African continent. And obviously to see these key indicators and other success targets coming forward, we need a workable solution, workable systems across policy and other things. But most importantly, we need to see inclusivity. So we need to start coming up with actionable solution to reach that vision, especially across the large groups, which is women and youth within the African continent. Their participation within these trade corridors, it is very, very critical to ensure that there's maximum impact. Just a bit of numbers across these trade corridors. 85% of all the economic activities in Africa, they come from the informal sector, and 70% of the informal businesses in Africa are owned by women that are first generation to go into business, don't have any previous experience on how to manage sustainable, bankable businesses. And 90% of the workforce within African informal sector is women. As you can already see, what is the state of both the businesses and the marketplace or the workplace across the participation of women itself, it presents a big opportunity for us to close this gap that exists, because informal means not sustainable employed. It means the business as well is not sustainable, yet there's a high risk, because this kind of businesses, people rely on it for provision, they rely on it to create employment across industries. So I'm going to take you through three strategies that we can use to increase the participation of women. And most of them is the initiatives that can be led from us as business women and other stakeholders, including the government. But we need to take the lead into ensuring that these strategies are being implemented. I'll take you through the opportunities that exist. I'll take you through the platforms that exist where we can increase our participation. And I'm going to take you through the ecosystems that in communities that you can be part of to make sure that you participate with most opportunities that are there for trade, finance, and everything. So firstly, we're going to look at opportunities that exist. Increasing trade between African countries, my biggest focus today is going to be on consumables that are used by women. Take fashion, for example. A high percentage of the fashion that is consumed in Africa is sourced out there. The brand made in Africa is still very small and it needs to grow. And the exciting part about it is that earlier this year, a number of mainstream retailers, they've announced that they're not gonna renew their contract, the supplier agreement with other countries, because they want products that are produced in Africa. Most of these organizations, their eyes open because of the supply chain shock that happened during the COVID-19 lockdown, when they realized that we need to increase our production capacity within the country. So as women, there's that opportunity that exists for us to really get involved in producing the things that we consume every day, because that's where first and foremost the money is. If we're going to industrialize, we need to use what we have first. We're not really depend on things that are not here. Africa is one of the leading providers of raw materials, but not big on production. So if we're going to increase that, we need to make sure that as we grow by the Made in Africa brand, it is made by African women as well. Because when you look into many of the supply chain, you find that they're on the top of the value chain with real sustainable income. There's lesser women, even in beauty or in fashion. It's led by men most of the time. So we need to get ready to start introducing this kind of production and brands. And the second focus today is going to be e-commerce platforms, to be able to reach wider audiences when you take your product to market. In the past, it was very difficult. If you wanted to start a fashion boutique or any kind of business, you needed offices and all that kind of setup. But today, you can literally set up an e-commerce business to sell your product, whether it's honey or whatever that you produce. You can open it overnight. Like, for example, here at Coronet, we have a program that we call it Coronet 48, which gives an opportunity to African women and women anyway. They can start a hair business within 48 hours. We get their business registered. They will get their bank account. They'll get their brand identity put together. They will get their first inventory, all the business systems that they need. They will be up and running, and they can have their first sale or first customer within 48 hours. So we need to take an advantage of these tools that way we can build these kind of e-commerce businesses. And the last focus on the opportunities as well is finance. There's been a number of statistics where only 2% globally of the women were able to get finance. And out of that 2%, the women of color, Black African women, it's scary to even think what the percentage was. So we need to this is an invitation to venture capitalists, to governments, and other sources of financing to prioritize these kinds of businesses that are female-led, to put real money, to create real impact within this. We need to look again at our criteria that we use to say this is a fundable and investable kind of a business, so that we can work with what is in real time with African standard, because times are moving. We can't always use systems from long time ago. I had a chat with a banking manager when I was looking at what would a fundable business look like, and the boxes that they mentioned that needed to be ticked were really unreasonable. And current technologies should help us to reach that decision whether we should find a business faster in the most effective and the most inclusive way, so that we can have more women participating in sustainable businesses. So the next part I'm going to look into is platforms. First and foremost, it's platforms that we can plug into to increase our trade. It should be easy for a woman in South Africa or in Ghana to do business or to get their products through to the Nigerian market, where it's accessible. It's easy to buy, and it's easy to facilitate trade within those, where customers or consumers are brought closer to producers. And the second platform that is very, very effective is social media. Whether you are on business to business or you are business to consumer, we all have a responsibility to build ourselves a very, very strong brand, personal brand, because people do business with people, and the number of consumers are starting to want to buy their consumables from other African women, because they know they are buying into a supply chain, they are buying into sustainability, they are buying into a bigger picture where we want women to participate in all of this trade. So even consumers are adding their value. First and foremost, they need to be able to find you. LinkedIn alone has got over 720 million marketplace connection. Those are 720 million possibilities or potential clients. So we need to be LinkedIn or social media literate, so that we can get our goods out there, we can get our services out there. And the last one on this platform is platform that are going to help us with business acumen. Fortunately for us, especially this generation, the third industrialization has ensured that it democratizes access to information, access to real valuable information. Whereas in the long time ago, if you wanted to start a restaurant, for example, and you wanted to learn a chef grade kind of skill, it will take lots of money for you to be able to learn a lot of things. But today, it's accessible, it's there. You can get access to training, to webinars for free. You can get to learn from the experience and the journey of other women that are founders of many businesses. So we need to take an advantage of these kinds of platforms, so that we can educate ourselves about industries, products, and everything that we are doing business in. And my last focus is going to be on ecosystems. And first and foremost, we have an opportunity now to belong to a global family. In the past, you will just meet with a number of business women, and it was very difficult to get best practice. But today, the internet has opened our world to really, really become a part of a really bigger global family that we can belong to, where we can learn best practices. It's no longer a big trade secret now on how to start a business from end to end. So we need to make sure that we are part of those global families, so that we don't keep to African standards, but we have those global standards. No matter how small or early your business is, it can compete within the global framework or global markets, because of the level of community that we build. You can have a mentor today that is based in Europe, other one is based in the US, another one is based in Ghana. From everywhere, you have this opportunity to really belong to this global family. The second one is industry association. There's always association within beauty, within technology, within engineering. There's always industry association whose first and foremost is to make sure that members of this industry association, they increase their trade capacity. To some industry associations, they participate in export, going out there to exhibit your produce or your production output out there in other countries and in other regions, so that we can increase our international export outside Africa, apart from our domestic market that is growing very, very well. And then there's development opportunities, because the development institution, they find it easy to work with people that belong to community already. They would pick up a phone and call an industry association to say, this year we have this amount of budget for this number of programs. And if you have this profile of participants, you can send them through. Someone from outside, if they want to source things from South Africa or anywhere in Africa, they are most likely to call an industry association, to just for credibility and to knowing that you belong to that community that can vouch for you, whether you are starting in business or you are growing in business. Find your tribe, find your people that have got the same values with you and the same objectives to increase trade and to attract development within certain sectors. And one last focus within ecosystem is the networks and ecosystem. For example, in South Africa, we have the Lioness of Africa, which has got over 1 million African women that are in business. It has events on a weekly basis. It helps women to launch their new brands. They help you with introductions and collaboration. So join those kinds of communities so that you can learn, you can collaborate, and you can build really, really solid relationships across the other women that are ahead of yourself and others. You can belong to those kind of platforms to add value as well with your experience that you have. As I go towards closing, it is important for us to understand that in as much as we need leaders to lead the way, to create friendly policies that ensures that we accommodate and prioritize the participation of women and systems that create opportunities that already exist to produce, to have access to market, access to resources for many women. But us as women, we really, really need to take lead, to step up, to make sure one, that we run investable kinds of businesses. We need to design our business from the word go to make sure that they are investable. It's a simple rule. Build your business as always if you're going to sell it tomorrow, even if you are not going to sell it tomorrow. So that when you take up a case of the low investment within female-led businesses, it's not because investors don't find these kinds of business investables. They cannot find the businesses to start with, so they can access them. We don't have our business together. So we need to make sure that we step up to ensure that we are investable, we are accessible, and we are ready to participate and make sure that we are at the forefront of this. Hustling, running informal businesses is not going to save the African economies. As our nation is growing, as there's a much need for more produce, we're not going to keep importing food from neighboring regions. We're going to have to do it here, and women have to step forward, not just to be just at the tail end of supply chains and value chains, but to be at the forefront, move up the value chain. We need to ask ourselves, how could we participate more in the trade activities of Africa? And that was it from my side. This has been very rewarding, and it's been a privilege to participate within this conference of Global Women Empowerment 2021. Thank you so much.